We have a lot of anime about characters with insane powers that go to another world and defeat the Demon Lord. But what happens after the Demon Lord is actually defeated? Do people just go about their daily lives in peace? Sadly, in the case of Ishura, no. The scars of the battles remain, the people with overwhelming power stick around, rulership is uneasy, and in this unique case, no one knows who actually saved the people. Ishura is truly a unique take on the isekai genre, and technically storytelling in general. So much that at times I even question calling it an isekai. It features a large cast of characters with their own unique goals, skills, and origins. And while that's its strong suit, I can't help but say that's also its biggest problem. Make no mistake, Ishura is a slow burn, something that many won't find appealing. But honestly, something that for people that like a broad and varied plotline of suspense, it has the potential to be a very, very rewarding series. But I'm going to get into that and so much more with my review of the first season of Ishura, because yes, it's been greenlit for a second season. So let's jump right into it. Opening up Ishura, we jump into a world that is devastated by the war against the true Demon King. While the Demon King was destroyed, all that remains is a single kingdom called Arietia. Now, while the death of the true Demon King is cause for celebration, there is no one to hold up high as a hero. See, following the true Demon King's death, the hero responsible is nowhere to be found. But the kingdom of Arietia has a resolve for this, and desires for all the most talented warriors in the world to take part in a tournament. The winner of that tournament will be crowned the hero. But they have one big problem. One of their own generals has actually broken off from the kingdom, claimed independence with their own kingdom of Lithia. Additionally, they've titled themselves as a self-proclaimed Demon King. While not aggressive, it seems like it's inevitable for war to actually occur. Outside of this greater plotline, we get to see individual characters that bring light to concepts that this world is facing. Like Soshiro Yagyu, one people of this world would call a visitor from distant worlds, blessed with inhumane abilities and a thirst for fights. We have Star Runner, a three-armed wyvern that has the desire to conquer labyrinths and obtain relics that are from distant worlds. Kia, an elf blessed with the power of world words, the ability to control anything with spoken words, and so much more. Each one of these unique individuals carries with them a purpose or a manipulation that many seek for their own benefit. My initial draw to the series of Ishura is this concept of opening up the world post the Demon King themselves. How do the people themselves kind of move forward? How do the kingdoms react to this state of no longer being in constant fear of this greater threat? How do people move forward? And I think it did really well to kind of open up to this area that is sort of building on top of where the Demon King once was. There's this labyrinth the Demon King themselves used to reside in, and the people have built a city on top of it. They're researching what's inside of it. Every now and then these creatures that were once, being controlled by the Demon King would actually come out, the people would take it down, and they move on with their lives. But as they feel comfortable and people are studying and you have, schools that are there and they're studying things, there's trade, there's markets and everything, everybody's moving forward with their lives, but then suddenly that peace gets destroyed when suddenly this labyrinth itself comes to life. It shows that idea that despite the fact that people want to move forward, there's still these remaining scars that continue to harm the people. But the bigger plot lines that kind of intrigued me the most was really getting into the kingdom itself. What does this last remaining kingdom feel about those that have power? Because yes, when you typically have a greater threat, a Demon King or something like that everybody wants to focus their attention on, that's the thing that needs to get destroyed because it's going to destroy us. You will employ anything you can. If somebody steps forward and says, I have great strength, you're going to say, please go destroy this. You're going to utilize that power, that weapon, to fight against something. But the question mark remains is that once that greater threat is gone, what do you think about those around you that were those weapons? Those then suddenly become the greater threat. So when early on they propose the idea of actually trying to find this hero, my initial thought goes to, well, they probably want to destroy that person. The hero itself with insane powers can be equally as a threat to a kingdom as the Demon King themselves. So it's no wonder the person themselves actually disappeared. So now it seems like they're trying to find that person, but to what extent? And how do they know that they're going to find that person? Why a hero who wants to defeat the Demon King and disappeared would suddenly show up for a tournament to decide the hero? But I will admit there is a difficulty here because a lot of those plot lines kind of get moved to the side. Yes, every episode kind of opens up talking about how the Demon King was taken out and the hero disappeared and they're trying to find the hero, but it's not really the focus, at least for the first season. A lot of the focus shifts to each individual character that's within this world that have some sort of unique ability or are just substantial to the story itself. And what I think Ishura does so well is that each individual one of those characters are extremely fascinating. Yes, each of them have like some insane OP ability that's kind of interesting to see it in play. Again, Sajiro and his ability to cut literally anything with a dull blade. Starrunner with his relics of distant worlds and his ability to use any weapon. Dakai and his insane sight. Kia with the ability to literally tell somebody to die and they die. But honestly, for me, what makes them fascinating is that they each have their own story. Even Sojiro, who is, I just want to fight things. I just want a challenge. Oh, there's a big monster. I want to fight it. That's all he seems to want to do. But there is a story behind him. The idea that this distant world that he was from seemed to have rejected him, pushed him out. So even for him, I'm kind of intrigued to see what he truly thinks. Is he literally just wanting to fight things, or is there something more to his character than that? What Ishura does so well, but at the same time I kind of am frustrated by, is that it has too many characters that are really fascinating. It's the too many character syndrome. I love all these characters, I think they're all fascinating, but literally the series is nothing but introducing and showing me those characters. That it sometimes feels like the greater plotline again, gets kind of pushed to the side. Yes, as it's telling the character stories, it does get into the greater plot line about Terran, who is this person that has broken off from Arietia, and how they have this conflict with Arietia themselves, and if they eventually do come to war, but I still can't help but feel that I got no answers as to why they're even pulling these people together, except for those that have leadership wanting to exploit those with power in order to gain more power. So because of that, it was kind of one of those series that even now, after the first season has ended, but thankfully we do have a second season coming, it's a hard sell for me to give to people because it doesn't feel like really anything gets resolved in the end. Yes, things were destroyed. Yes, things came to a resolve for a conflict, but the overall bigger story is very much so not even touched. But that's sort of one of the reasons why I love Ishura so much. It doesn't tell me everything. It doesn't try to tell me everything right off the bat. If there's an idea presented, why is Arietta trying to have this tournament? Don't know yet. So even the opening plot line isn't even answered in the end, which is fine because, yes, it's a light novel series. It's continuous. It's like they don't want to reveal all their cards, which is, again, why I like it. I like a story that doesn't constantly have to tell me what's going on. I'm allowed to think and I'm allowed to kind of speculate on what's happening. Like I said, from the very beginning, I'm speculating that the whole idea that Arietia is even doing this tournament is because they want to kill anybody with power, because those people can become the threat that the Demon Lord once was. But it's because that makes it difficult to sell to people, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that want answers immediately. It's hard for a lot of people that, unless they're invested in the series like I am, they're not going to want to wait for those answers. They're going to want the answers now. They're going to feel like they're robbed of their time if they don't get that punchline. And I really feel like Ishura is a true example of a slow burn. It's taking its time. And it's a testament to the writing of Ishura that I don't really mind that, because each individual story, I'm invested in the characters they're presenting. Yes, I get frustrated they're introducing another character when I want to see what happens with that character they just introduced. It's doing well and keeping me entertained throughout the entire thing. The greater plot line of Ishura is in the idea of the fear of those with power. It's a concept that I am truly invested in, and it's something that I want to see more of. From the very first episode, they introduce Yuno, who is a citizen of this world. She's what you would call just your bog standard human. And as she's enjoying her time of peace with the one that she cares for, suddenly everything gets uprooted and her life is destroyed. And in the midst of that, she kind of represents the idea of those that are weak that hate those that are strong. Why? Because those that are strong don't view their lives as significant. Because you're so powerful, you don't realize what you're doing, it's destroying everybody underneath your feet. It's the concept of stepping on the ant. The ants are going about their days, they're enjoying their lives, they're doing their tasks, and then suddenly you just step on them because you don't even see them worthy of even paying attention to. So she builds this hatred against anybody with strength. And I think that core concept, while frustrating for me early on, I hated Yuno. Later on, I started to see that is technically the overall concept of the story. Every time the plotline hits these pinnacle points, we get a representation of how that power squashes those that can't fight back. The fear of those that have power, the desire for a hero to save them from that power, but yet the presence of that power in a hero. Even Yuno herself acknowledges that she has to have power to destroy those that have power that has stomped on her weakness. Ishura in itself excels at characters. It excels at power. It excels at weakness. Fears and our desire to use those that have power, while also fearing that power. All mixed up within there, like I said, is a greater plot line that unfortunately isn't really addressed too much. And therein lies the issue that I'm hoping that eventually that greater plot line will have some sort of reward at the end. For visuals, I love Ishura. I think it looks fantastic. I think all the character designs themselves are just unique and they all kind of have their own presence. I love the visual design of the setting, the backdrops and everything. It just looks fantastic. There's some insanely epic little Sakuga moments here and there with the characters fighting. I mean, a prime example being the first fight with Sojiro and the big labyrinth. It was just epic. Yes, I will admit, CGI problem. Yes, this show does have a little bit of a CGI problem. I think early on I was fine with it. I think most use of the CGI in the series looks fine. The only issue that I really fall into is the wyverns. The wyverns, no. I think like Lagnaji and Starrunner look fine. There's a little bit of a flatness to Starrunner that is a little bit off-putting, but they did a really good job of actually animating him. It's just, yes, the colors and the textures on his face, it doesn't sometimes fit with some of the shots. But I can't excuse the wyverns in masses. Like when you have a lot of wyverns and they're just pecking at each other and there's like this goofy looking CGI blood flying around, it just doesn't look that great. But these are like very brief points throughout the entire series. I think overall it looks fantastic. I even think other characters like Shark look fine. And again, he's pretty much fully CGI. Overall, like putting everything together, like the aesthetic of it, the lighting, the backgrounds, the setting, the character designs themselves, it looks fantastic. I really did appreciate how it looked. All in all, that is for me to say I really, really, really enjoyed Ishura, and I cannot wait for a second season. This is just a very unique show that just caught me off guard. I really had no expectations for it. I kind of had some expectations because the PV looked like an action anime, whilst the actual source material was a light novel. It kind of shocked me that this was not a manga, because typically with these high action shows, it's going to be a manga. But it all made sense when I actually got into the plot lines of the show and how focused it is on characters. It's about the characters. It's about the actual conflict between these two kingdoms, or at least this remaining kingdom and this independent kingdom, what the characters doing, what drives them, what is the distant worlds, what are these relics coming from the distant worlds, what each person wants in the future, what is the end goal of this tournament itself, and how do you have so many OP characters that don't just blow each other up within a second. But yes, like I said before, I do admit this is a hard sell. It's hard for me to tell people to go out of their way to watch Ishura because it doesn't tell you everything. It is a slow burn show that I think a lot of people aren't going to have the patience for. For me personally, I love it. I love that intrigue. I love constantly questioning, why is Terran doing what she's doing? Why is the kingdom doing what they're doing? Why are they having this tournament? And I don't need those answers now. Yes, I hope that eventually, whenever the series gets around to answering those questions, it's fulfilling and it's rewarding. But I will admit that, yeah, there's a side of me that wonders, is it all for nothing? But that's where it all comes down to. If you're enjoying the journey, that doesn't really matter. And for me, the journey of Ishura has been fulfilling. So I'm not too worried about that destination not having a good ending. I'm not worried to find out that maybe the princess is having the tournament because she's the demon lord and she wants to kill the hero. I don't care. I like these characters. I like this journey. And for that, I really, really enjoyed Ishura. But if any of that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. If it doesn't sound interesting to you, stay away from it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review of Ishura. If you did, make sure that like button down below, comment. Let me know what's a lot of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button, check out my content. I do news reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips, links, tips, things, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.